We have Pygmy resuming here first up after running second in the Queensland Oaks. This is a good starting point for Pygmy, a mare that we can foresee getting up over a mile and 2,000 metres this preparation. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see her run well fresh here. She's had one nice little trial for Karen McAvoy a couple of weeks ago, and she just seems to be in really good order and looks to have matured a little bit from her three-year-old career. But certainly if she's running on strongly through the line, stepping up over further is what's going to hold a lot of promise for her this campaign. We also have Philosophy in this race. She won the final race of the season in July at Rose Hill, over 1,500 metres really nicely against mares. She's since had a nice little time out at the farm and freshened up really well. A mid-prep trial looks good to my eye, and I think that the sort of track work that she's producing, she's certainly ready to run well again and give us an indication where she might sit amongst the black type mares at this level. So in the Spring Stakes we have Astoria running second up. He's got a really good glow about him, this colt. He resumed with a strong first up run in the Ming Dynasty. He finished behind horses like Addictive Nature and Gold Standard. Gold Standard of course came out and won the Stan Fox quite dominantly. So if he just continues to take that step forward, he's going to be a real chance in the Spring Stakes, and it looks a really nice race for him. The 1,600 metres should suit. If there's a bit of cut out of the ground at Newcastle, he's handled that in the past, having won on the heavy and placed in at Group 3 on the heavy track. I think that he could be a real improver amongst our three-year-old colts if he could sort of get up and go to Newcastle and get up and get the job done there. So certainly an interesting runner from the team there. If Astoria was able to win or be unlucky not to win the Spring Stakes on Friday, then he's certainly looming up as a Spring Champion Stakes horse for us later on this spring. You know, that race is run in October. There's plenty of time to be ready for that, and we can even consider giving him another run in between in the Gloaming or the Dulcify. But either way, he's thriving and he's going to get his opportunity. So in the T-Rose we have the first of our two fillies, Elise. She was only beaten half a length in the Group 2 Furious Stakes over 1,200 metres last start. She's had a good couple of weeks in between runs, and we're trying her at 1,400 metres for the first time. We're yet to be convinced that she'll run it out strongly, but certainly in her training at home she's giving us the indication she will. And either way, the programming is not hurting her. She's really thriving. She's enjoying her work, and she's getting that bit better at the races every time from what I can see of her attitude too. So getting her opportunity over 7 furlongs in the T-Rose, and some of her opposition from the Furious might even be going to the Golden Rose, and the race could become a little thinner than what she faced last start. And from that perspective, she's a really good chance for the team, but much more of an underdog this time than she was in her past couple, I would say, having had her colours lowered in her past 2 runs in the Silver Shadow and the Furious. Her stablemate Regimen will be also running in the T-Rose. She was blocked for a run last start at Canterbury. She got out late and flew home. She was running against the older mares that day, and back against the 3-year-old fillies. She's not without a hope at this black type level. Certainly she's got the ability to put herself right there, and stepping up to 1,400 metres for the first time is unknown territory for the filly. But she's strong. She's got pent-up energy from her last start that was unspent, and she looks very, very strong within herself. So that's the sort of recipe where we can see a filly like her come into this leg of the Princess Series and do well. But she's going to have to lift. But we've been impressed with her running fast times in the midweeks at the provincials and the metropolitan meetings, and gets her a chance to meet some of these better 3-year-old fillies here. In the Bill Ritchie, we'll have Havana Cooler running first up. He's a middle distance staying style of horse. He's going to need much further, but he's been building into this nicely, and just look for him to be strong through the line. A much better chance from the stable in the race is a horse called Spectroscope. He was one of the favourites first up at Randwick a month ago. He ran well without winning, and the form has really stacked up with a horse like Deploy going on to beat the rest and set more record times at Rose Hill on the weekend. So spectroscope's just been building really nicely between runs. As a European import, I think he'll appreciate his runs being spaced, and he's certainly come across that way at home. He's really furnished nicely in between starts. He's sort of really bounced back strongly, and we've been really delighted with the way he's been training these past few weeks. And he'll get a lovely opportunity in the Bill Ritchie to sort of get back into the winner's circle and sort of lay down his Epsom hopes, give us an insight into what sort of chance he might be in a big Group 1 handicap like that. Allergic gets to the 2,000 metres for the first time this preparation. He's third up here, and we'd like to see him running a little bit of a race. He's had to chase Winks home his first 2 runs, and I think he's building towards something, but I would like to see the cut out of the Randwick track for him to do his best. He probably isn't going to appreciate it if there's a bit of fire in the track, but we have had plenty of warm weather in Sydney lately, and that could be a little bit of a risk with Allergic. But nevertheless, the horse is well, and he's going to keep stepping up as we increase his distances. But at set weights and penalties over the mile and a quarter, he should still be finishing, much closer than he did last start. Yeah, so the Heritage will be an interesting race for us. We have 3 horses nominated. We're likely to only run two of those colts. We have, of course, Malahat, who's the last start winner at Canterbury. He won as a very short price favourite against the older horses. It's not easy to do, and he did it with good style. He showed a lot of strength at both ends of the race that day, and if he comes back half a furlong in distance, it'll pose no problems for him. He's got plenty of natural speed about him, and he can run very well in a race like that. If we run the horse Marsupial, then we know, of course, he returned with a really resounding first up second behind Tango Rain at Rosehill. Again, against the older horses is a big challenge for a young colt like him, but he really acquitted himself well, and he's trained on. He looks in really good order. He galloped beautifully on the course proper this morning at Warwick Farm, and I dare say that he could even be one of our better chances on the weekend with the sort of feel that he's giving me from the vibe of his training. We have Viridine also returning first up. He's unbeaten in 2 starts, so he's been a pretty impressive late maturing 2-year-old colt. Now that he's turned 3, he's got the opportunity to take that to another level. His 2 returning trials have been solid at Randwick. He's second at Randwick and his first at Warwick Farm, but he well and truly could be saving his best till race day. We've been pleased with his training. He looks still a little bit soft, but it's only 1100 here, and he could be sort of running a big race here first up and sort of threatening to do a lot more for the rest of the campaign. Again, a little bit of cut out of the ground would suit a horse like Viridine, but nevertheless he's very well within himself. He's moving really nicely in his track work at home, and he's going to come to the races and be sort of one of the picks of the yard, and hopefully run accordingly.